To you, that's right. The way we generate our energy, especially electricity, has been dramatically changing over the past few decades. So just 10 years ago, about 3/4 of our electricity came from generators powered by coal and natural gas. But there's been a global shift away from fossil fuels because of those harmful gases that they produce. So last year, the government committed to net zero by 2050. That means the amount of greenhouse gas produced must be met by the amount removed from the atmosphere, but that demands big changes. So coal stations will shut and there'll be more power from wind and solar. But last year, renewables provided 40% of the UK's energy mix. Now, the government says they cannot be relied upon 100%, and so they're investing in nuclear as what's called a baseload supply. The BBC's chief environment correspondent, Justin Rowlatt, has been taking a look. Good morning. You would be forgiven for delaying thoughts about a new car for the time being, but the switch to electric will affect all motorists. Petrol and diesel are being phased out because we know how damaging they are to our health and to the environment. So last year, the government committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. What that means is the amount of gas produced must be met by the amount removed by the atmosphere. About a third of CO2 emissions in the UK at the moment come from transport. So to help meet that commitment, the government has already committed to banning the sale of new diesel and petrol cars. Back in February, the Prime Minister said he wanted that ban to come in 2035. We now know that that plan's been brought forward 5 years to 2035, although the sale of some hybrid cars will be allowed a little longer. Now, that 5-year acceleration is really significant. And that's because at the moment, just 7% of cars sold in the UK are battery electric. One of the main obstacles to consumers is cost. One of the UK's most popular electric cars, the Nissan Leaf, costs around £27,000 for the basic model. Compare that to a similar 5-door hatchback's running price on petrol, like the Dacia Sandero. Well, that's about £8,000, a third of the price. Yes, the running costs of electric are cheaper, but consumers also worry about charging.
People do worry about how long it takes to charge these cars and then how far they can go when they have charged them. For some of these vehicles, it can take up to 12 hours to put 300 miles of range in them, depending on the type of charger being used. In a best case scenario, you might get a couple of 100 miles in less than half an hour. So it very much depends on how good the public charging infrastructure is, because not everybody will be able to have chargers